What would be the biggest misconception about inflatables the public needs to be able to understand a little bit better?
Sometimes when the skies are blue, you don't think about things could happen in an instant.
We need to prioritize safety. You do not want to be the company that ends up in the 5 o'clock news.
Actually, safety is really boring. If safety isn't boring, something has happened and you're dealing with a situation that you probably don't want to be dealing with.
Welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Julio. We are thrilled to introduce a great person in the inflatable industry. He is the CEO of the Inflatable Operators Association, a former DJ. He has so many years of experience in the inflatable industry. Please welcome Kevin Weeking. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us today.
Much.
Appreciate it. Thank you for making the time. I know it was a long drive.
A little bit of a drive, a little bit of a traffic, here in Orlando. But I'm fortunate I have family that live down here, and we came down to spend some time with family. And,
nice.
Obviously you and I talked on the phone a few times, and I had mentioned to you I was coming down, and good opportunity to sit down and talk about some inflatables and the bounce house business and IOA with the Inflatable Operators Association.
Can you share, right? You started off as a DJ, but you also had your rental company. Now, what led from you having your rental company, being a DJ, to now being the CEO of the Inflatable Operators Association?
Well, it was the 90s. Back in 1990 is when we kind of just got started, myself in the business and in the industry. And that obviously to me doesn't sound like a long time ago. But when you do the math, it's
You've definitely had you put in the work.
It's a pretty long time.
Yes.
And had the opportunity when I was getting through high school and going into college and things to provided some DJ services. And I was always looking for, what is the next big thing to provide to clients? How can we engage them in a party that's going to be fun? A lot of times I would do corporate events and I would see people, kind of hesitant to dance or hesitant to participate because, obviously it's your company event. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. And
of course,
there were so many opportunities. That was when the, was basically called a moonwalk back then. That's still called that, but maybe not as frequently as before.
It depends on the states.
Yes.
And also, it always tells me in a nice way, the age of a person that they've been around for a very long time when they refer to an inflatable as a moonwalk.
Yeah.
That's okay. They've been around.
Yeah. And we were fortunate at that time as well to have the innovation of, having the moonwalk or the bounce house, and then having the creativity and the innovation to kind of develop the additional attractions that, obviously slides. The Titanic slide was the big slide that kind of broke things open back then. And then, then everybody started, kind of putting some more creativity into the process and coming up with different themes, different colors, incorporating a slide with the bounce house. And there again, the combo was born, and you had a slide and a bounce house that was, rented together. And that's probably only been, 10, 15 years ago. Right. And then obviously you had your obstacle courses. You had bungee runs and gladiator jousting and sports themed games. So the industry was just exploding through that time period. And we had a large inventory, high volume sales of business. We were fortunate to survive 32 years and, built that business successfully, and we're proud of that. And then, just kind of had the opportunity. We did sell our company.
Nice.
I am now CEO of the Inflatable Operators Association. And I think I'm best qualified because of my experience in building a business. I think I relate to business owners. I'm not here to tell you exactly how to do things and not know the challenges that they face.
Right.
Not knowing the difficulty of finding help and hiring people. And IOA was started back in 2017 in Ohio and had some great success in lobbying the state legislature in Ohio to reduce some fees and focus on safe operation. One of the things that I think you'll hear me say is 1,000 1,000 smiles and 0 tears. A lot of people do a great job in this industry, and we do birthday parties, we do exciting events where people enjoy themselves. We entertain them at the best parts of their lives and throw the best parties for them. And I think IOA provides the resources to help people understand how to do things correctly, provides them some education, provides them some safety, and ultimately an association that they can call their own.
Right, and you want to be able to provide customers or rental companies, operators, the information so that they are up to date on all safety aspects of regulations and everything depending their state. That way they don't have to play catch up when it comes to those things.
Yeah, and as I worked through the industry, I had the opportunity, I was asked to be the task group chair for the ASTM F2374 committee when the standards were updated. And that was a process that took place in 2015, started in 2014, was a several-year process where we studied state regulations, also the existing standards, which by the way, at that point was 3 or 4 pages, and now
How many pages are there
ASTM now is about 34 pages, maybe a couple more. So, wow. But I also try to explain people the why. The why behind why those standards are there.
Right. And
generally speaking, there was an issue that caused somebody to create a policy to prevent accidents or issues from happening.
Right.
So, that's, the ASTM F2374 standard is for inflatable amusement rides, specific to them. And everything that was addressed in there, whether it be anchoring, and we talked a little bit about design, manufacturing, operation, and maintenance of those units, that being the 4 pillars of, what makes an event successful, right. And avoiding the pitfalls that could, potentially creep up on you during that process.
Which, you just touched on one of the topics that we're going to talk about, jumping ahead of it, but that's perfect. That's perfect because the thing is, when customers are in those states that need to meet the ASTM standards, they need to be able to first find a reputable manufacturer, right, that meets those standards.
Correct.
Which, JumpOrange, we have some of those in Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, but it doesn't just stop there. Then it's being able for the operator themselves to understand those standards and to be then able to practically do them when they're setting up the inflatable and, when they're at parties. So that's the other part of things.
Correct.
One of the other things would be, being that you have been in the industry, what would be the biggest, in your experience, the biggest misconception about inflatables, that the public needs to be able to understand a little bit better?
That's a good question. And, developing yourself as a business owner, educating yourself, getting involved with different programs and the ASTM F2374. I keep repeating that number because, commit it to memory. You can become a member of ASTM, right. Get the standard and study up on that. Those businesses are professionals.
Of course.
Now, the people that we're renting to aren't maybe as knowledgeable or as aware as to, the safe operation of a unit, understand how to set that unit up correctly, how to anchor it correctly, and then how to maintain it, and then also how to, provide training to the operator attendant. Right. And those people will be knowledgeable about weather hazards. A lot of people don't think wind is a big deal. But wind is a big deal when you put an inflatable up, and it becomes a bigger deal when you don't anchor it down correctly. Of course. And so those are things that are somewhat simple to maybe understand, but it's sometimes when the skies are blue and I just walked in off the street and it's a beautiful day, you don't think about, things could happen in an instant.
I see that here a lot, for example, in Florida, where, it's a beautiful day, sunny outside, but in the matter of minutes, you can just have rain, high winds right away for, let's say, a good 10, 20 minutes, and then it goes away. Yep. But it's within that time period that the person responsible for the inflatable, which is, let's say, the person who's renting the inflatable, needs to be aware of that aspect of things.
And ultimately, as a successful business owner, you want to be able to train your employees so that you don't have to do the work every day. You shouldn't be in a delivery vehicle from the time you start the business till the time you eventually pass it on or sell the business, you should be able to pass that on to, people that are representing you and expect that they'll go out, be able to use that checklist. You can, again, know that they're doing great service. And that's what sets your company apart from any of your competitors out there.
Right.
Do they perceive you as being the best? And how do they perceive you as being the best? It's the process from taking a phone call or them going to your website and then providing them with a rental contract, them providing you with payment, you showing up on time, incorporating a culture of safety within your company, so your employees understand why they're going through that checklist.
Yeah,
why, when it's 100 degrees, it's so important to pound in the stakes and anchor that unit appropriately, so that maybe 2 hours from now it's not going to be the same situation. But and train your renters to monitor the weather and discontinue use if it's above the manufacturer's recommended wind speed.
You mentioned, we were talking previously, no, I may be butchering it, but it was the no safety is boring, or what was it? Can you?
No, actually, safety is really boring.
Safety is really
and
boring.
And we want boring. We want boring safety. If
Yes.
safety isn't boring, something has happened, and you're dealing with a situation that you probably don't want to be dealing with.
Right.
And safety is boring in that we plan for those situations,
Of
and
course.
we have an evacuation plan. We look at our weather plan, whether it's, we're not going to deliver and set up today, or we're going to notify our customers that the wind speed is increasing, or there's a thunderstorm rolling in and it's become unsafe to operate.
And through social media, we have seen a lot of that, where a lot of the customers, or a lot of our customers, the rental companies, they wake up when it's a busy weekend, they take a look at the weather, and they try to reschedule, right, just to make sure they accommodate to their customers. That way they don't run any risk when there's severe weather at hand.
We all know we need to behave in a certain way, and we need to make safe decisions, and that's the boring part of it. I've seen a lot of people cancel because of weather, and I've seen our industry start to step up on, developing a better culture for safety. That's and those people actually being supported, rather than have somebody say, "Well, I'll take it, and I'll go ahead and do it." Last minute.
It's not always about the money.
Yeah, it's not always
about the money, because that's the biggest thing when it comes to this industry. The fact that we are all in this industry to make money. I 100%, we're all on the same page, but we need to prioritize safety above that, right? You do not want to be the company that ends up in the 5 o'clock news saying, "Hey, so-and-so the inflatable," because then it's not really your company. It's just the inflatable industry that's, bearing down the spotlight of what just happened.
Yeah, and we're all in this together, and it is teamwork, from the manufacturer working with the company and the business owner, and then the business owner working with the client. And if that process is seamless and works well, that makes your business more to be perceived as more safe than somebody else,
right? To
be the best value, not necessarily the best price,
right?
But the best value in a company that a customer can trust 100%. When we have an event,
right?
So,
because
and come back to you to book you again.
That's the point.
And book you again.
If they feel that way, they
again.
will be able to go ahead and refer you to a bunch of their family members, friends, and that's really, when it comes to this type of business, as you start off as a company and you want to know your, get to know more of your clientele, that's how a lot of people get their customers, through referrals, through word of mouth.
And one of the things that we focused on too is lifecycle marketing. You say you have a customer for life. In this business, you have a unique opportunity to capture a customer maybe when they're having their first birthday party.
That's true.
And then they're going to have another third birthday party or a 5-year-old birthday party.
You know what? On that part, I actually it just reminded me. There are several customers who they have actually served at least maybe 3 generations of people. Like, hey, or they seen their kids grow pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been. That's how much they built a relationship to their customer, that they rented that bounce house, they set it up for a 3-year-old, and now they're like, "Hey, can you help us with our Sweet 16 or our graduation party?" And now you're like, without you knowing it, you've become this part of in a way of the family.
Part of the family.
Setting up the inflatable or, just helping setting up for parties, depending what type of inventory and things like that you offer. But still, you became a part of, without thinking about it or realizing that you're part of their family in a way.
Yep.
So that's a unique opportunity.
I will definitely support search engine optimization and Google AdWords and, developing your online presence to be found. But I will 100% support developing that relationship, talking to people, providing a good experience when you're doing the business, because that's going to lend longevity to that relationship 100%. And develop that relation or the lifecycle marketing from a 1-year-old birthday party to repeating that situation at least 4 or 5 or 6 times for that family.
We've talked about a lot of topics, which is great. And I know you have the knowledge to be able to do this episode of hours on end, right? But one thing that I want to go and get to is looking ahead. You've been in the industry for over 30 years. What are some of the trends that you see moving forward within the industry? We've talked about safety, right? Mm-hmm. But what are some of the trends moving forward when it comes to inflatables, when it comes to, in general, the party rental industry?
Well, I think we stick with safety as being probably, and I don't want to call it trendy because it's not going to change.
Right.
A trend is going to reach its peak and then decline and then move on to something different. I think we need to focus on the operations of our business and, creating processes where, it's not just the owner that is capable of delivering that process time and time and time again. It's the company that you create that is behind you and understands what your company believes in, why your company was established, and that you want to deliver that promise to your customers. And safety is important because safety is the sustainability of your business.
Right.
When you have an accident, we talk about insurance, and it's very important that you have insurance. And I see posted all the time, if I have a waiver, do I need to have insurance? That is a very slippery slope. Insurance is not only, going to reimburse somebody if there's an accident, mm-hmm. they're also going to defend you in the instance that accident has happened. And now you have a suit brought against your company or your business or you individually. They're going to pay for that attorney to defend you. And if you don't have insurance in place, that's left to you as the owner of the business, the representative of the business, to come up with those expenses, those funds. And a lot of times it's a process that would bankrupt the average individual. Right. And we don't want to see that. We want to see successful businesses. Insurance is somewhat seen as expensive until you need it. And then it's worth it. So, while everybody wants to pay a reasonable rate, it's also developing a culture of safety where we're doing things based on the standards and delivering safety, new innovation, new products. And, as I started way back in the 90s and stuff too, I saw the innovation of the new designs, the new themes, the slides, the obstacles, the jousts, the bouncy boxing, the sports-themed inflatables. Yeah. All of that explode.
I found it interesting when we were talking how your first, your first inventory item was the sumo suits, right?
Correct.
So, and then you went from sumo suits to basically expanding your company and being able to travel through different states. Yeah. A lot of your business at the time was it was the campuses, right? Yep. So all that items, campuses. It's you definitely, and that's the great thing about having you in today's episode, the fact that you have over 30 years experience, multiple types of equipment, not just the party rent, not just inflatables. I do appreciate you joining us, and maybe one day I can visit you in Ohio.
Maybe so.
I'm not that good in the cold weather, so I would probably have to go in the summertime.
And everybody can still keep in touch with us as well at inflatableoperators.org.
100%, yes,
and
sir.
We'd love to invite your business to become a member of IOA. We really like to help you develop that sustainable process for safety.
Yes.
Get your certification within the industry based on ASTM F2374. Let you know what that acronym stands for, what it means, and how to operate safely and continue to be successful in your business.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for everybody watching today's episode of the JumpOrange Podcast. We'll see you in the next one.